So good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to continue our discussion on R and R Studio on data classes and data structures. So far, what we have learned are the different types of data classes. We learned the difference between numeric data and an integer. How do we distinguish between the two? So when you present integer, you have to write the letter L, capital letter L, to force it to be considered as an integer. Otherwise, if you just write the number with no L, it will be considered as numeric. Okay, the difference is that a numeric value can take on decimal places, while integer will not take on decimal places. We also learned about assigning names to values, creating an object. For example, for this one, we created D1A here, which is equal to pi, using the assignment operator. And if you recall, we discussed that the shortcut for the assignment operator, if you're a Windows user, is Alt minus. If you're using Mac, it's options and then minus. So what happens when we create this? If I run this, okay, so there is created an object here. So I named it D1A, and then the value is pi. Okay, so how do we can print this one, that object D1A. Notice here it's printed below in the script window or in the source window, because I place it in parentheses, right? D1A and assigned to PI assigned to D1A, and then open and close parentheses. Or we can type print D1A or just D1A. This will give us the same values. Okay, now this one, D4 here, we created an object called D4, and it has a value of 100, which is a integer. So how do we know this is an integer? Okay, let's start with this. If we write class D1A, okay, we know that this is numeric there. And then for this one, if we semicolon and then class D4, we know that this is an integer here. Okay, we learned also about the distinction between a character variable, character data type, and a logical data type. A character data type will always be enclosed in quotes. So if I create this object D5A, for example, and then it's a sentence. This subject is financial analytics. Okay, so this may be a sentence, but it's still character because of the open and close quotations. So if we run that and then get the class of D5A, I named it D5A. You can of course name it any way you want. It's just the name of the object. So if you run this, Control Enter, it will of course, okay, if I want it printed, open and close parentheses there. At the same time, print the class of D5A, Control Enter. So it prints the object D5A, and it also gives us the data type, which is character. Okay, any questions so far, class? Kindly confirm if you're able to follow yung numeric and then integer, and then we have here the character object. Kindly chat, please. So far, are we making sense? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Please feel free to ask questions if you have any in the course of our discussion. Okay, then we looked at the logical data type. The logical data type is written either as true or letter T, or false or letter F. And I said before that I suggest that we use the whole word true. Okay, so let's check. Let's just get the class, in this case, of D6. And also here, class D6A. Okay, so let's run this both. Okay, let's have this printed. And this one also print nothing. Or we can use just F here, just to see. All right, let's run this both. Okay, so these are the values of D6 and D6A are, the first one is true, the next one is false, and they're both logical data types. Okay, now let me just, okay, can you add, for example, this one, true plus 1? Is that possible? Yes. The difference between a character data type, see here, true plus 1. Okay, take a look at this. This is true plus 1. So a logical data type can be assigned a number. True becomes 1 and false becomes 0. On the other hand, this one, true plus 1, if we try to add that, so it's an error. Right? So that's one difference between a logical value and a character value. The logical value can be assigned the number, a particular numeric value. In this case, true became 1. And if I made this false, what if I use just F? F plus 1, control enter, it gives us 1. Because F is considered as false, and false is assigned a 0 value. Okay, so 0 value siya. So 0 plus 1 is 1. If I made it F minus 1, okay, we know that the answer will be 0. Oops. So sorry, this is 0 minus 1, so that's a negative 1. Okay, so I just wanted to point out that that's one difference between a logical value and a character value. Okay, clear, class? Again, question about if you got that. Yung true, pwede tayong mag-add sa kanya. Kasi magdi-default si R na, it will be made into a numeric value. Okay, how about the others? Okay, thank you. Feel free to comment, class, if I'm going too fast. Okay, so let's continue. Now, we looked at complex numbers, diba? Okay. What's I here? What does I mean, by the way? I was assuming that you understood this. Maybe some of you need clarification about this. What is I? Anyone? You may unmute yourself. What do you recall in your algebra? What's I, class?
Is it integer po ba, sir?
Integer? Hindi. Ang I, class, this is imaginary number. Imaginary yan. Okay? I'm not sure if you met this in your algebra, but if I, for example, get this, what's the square root of 9? Class, what's the square root of 9? 3. Yes. Why 3? Because 3 times 3 gives us 9, right? What's the square root of, let me 25. We know that that's of course 5. Diba? What's the square root of 1? Square root of 1 is of course 1. Or it can be, it's plus minus 1. It can be negative 1 because negative 1 times negative 1 gives us 1. What's the square root of negative 1? Is there a number that when you multiply with itself gives us negative 1? Class? Meron ba? Wala, di ba? Tama ba, class? Is there a number that when you multiply with negative 1 with itself will give you an answer negative 1? Kindly chat yes or no, please. What number, when you multiply it with itself or you square that number, gives the answer of negative 1? Class? None. Thank you, Han. Yes, none. Okay. It's not 1 because 1 times 1 gives you 1. Okay, so the square root of negative 1, control enter, let's see. All right. So it produces not a number, no? Not a number siya kasi, okay, kasi square root of negative 1 in algebra is defined as your I, imaginary. So your I. So this is square root of negative 1, that I here. All right, and that's a complex number. When you combine a real number and a complex and an imaginary number, it's called a complex number. Okay, so much now for so much about algebra. Okay, then we looked at dates. Okay, ito, we first looked at D8. We said that this does not work because this will be treated as a number. Okay, so if we subtract, then you'll have an answer of 2023 minus 5 minus 12. So that's 2006. And then this one will carry on a division. So both of this, okay, will not be considered as dates. Pag ito naman, class ito, yung lalagyan natin ng quotes, okay, it will be treated as a character. How do I know? If I get the classes, the class of D8, and then ito din, class of D8A, and then this one, class of D8B. There. Okay, if we run this, see, okay, 2006. Kasi pinerform niya ginawa niyang subtraction yan, dash, di ba? Numeric siya. Yung isa din, ginawa niyang division, numeric din siya. Yung isa naman, since it's under quotes, then it will be treated as this one, D8B, it's a character. Okay, so in order to generate a date object, we have to convert. We have to convert a character object into a date. So here, we're creating this object D9. Okay, and then let's get the class of D9. What type of object is that, D9? If I run this, okay, so there, 2023, 05, and 12. Now, what if, let's create this object D10. And then ask that date. Will this work? What if I want this to be the month? So let's say, what date is today? 05, and then 16, and then 2023. Class of D10. Okay, so take a look at this class. We'd like to convert this May 16, 2023 as a date. So kindly check the class and please chat what happened. Ano nangyari? What happened there? So we're creating that object D10, and then we're converting the as that date 5/16/2023. So kindly comment, please. What happened? Did this generate a date? And is that date 5/16/2023? Waiting for your feedback, boss. Okay. So Hannah, error in character to date X. Si Alicia then, error in character to date X. No? Is not in a standard. Error din si Kim. Okay. All right. Now, let's discuss this kasi ito, the standard is that you identify first the year, the month, and the day. So this is May 12, 2023. Okay? But can you generate a date where it starts with the month and then the day and then the year? Okay, pwede ba yun? Yes, let's first take a look at how do we, let's say, how do we understand this function? So we can go to console and then question mark ask that date. So that's how we access some information about a particular function. Okay, and then control enter. All right. So from what package is this function coming from? The ask that date. Anyone? May unmute yourself na lang para mas mabilis tayo. Anong package galing siya? Which package did the ask that date does the ask that date function come from? Any answers? From what package is it coming from? It's here, class. It's here. You can see it here. Take a look at the brackets. Hello, class. Yes, Kim, you answered base. How did you know it's from the base package? And that's correct.
On the top left, sir, it's inside
Yes.
the
Yeah, correct. Thank
bracket.
you. Yeah, thank you, Kim. Here, class, it's here. Ask that date, and then you have curly brackets here, and then base. So this means that it's coming from the base package. Now the question is, have we installed base package? Did we install it today? No, we did not because it's already preloaded with R. Okay, kindly take a look at your packages and please find base. I have a problem with this because it's not showing in my computer. How about in yours, class? Huh? Look for the package base. Does it appear in your packages? Okay, thank you, Alicia. And what do you notice about it? Is it clicked? Is it checked? Does it have a check here, for example? Does it have a check? Yes, thank you. How about the others? Did you find the base package here reflected in packages? And then is it checked? So Alicia, in her case, says yes. How about the others? Okay, thank you, Kuji. Thank you, Kim. All right. Only 3. Let's have more participants. Hannah, thank you. Okay, so it's already checked. It's already clicked, and it appears already in your packages list. Now, what does that mean? If it's already there and you haven't installed it yet, then it means that it comes pre-packaged with R. So that you don't have to install it anymore. Okay, also, what do you notice? It's clicked. It's clicked, class, because what's the purpose of clicking? If you have a package here and if it's here, it means it has already been installed. If you're going to make use of it, then you have to click it. Okay, for example, here I have CA tools. Notice it's not clicked, but it's here, which means that I have already installed this in the past. Okay, and if I click this, I cannot automatically make use of the functions of CA tools. I have to require this. How do I require? Either type library CA tools or require CA tools, or just click this. Click, and then automatically you can see here that it generated the code. So clicking CA tools here was equivalent to writing in your code, either in your console or in your source window. It's equivalent to writing library and then the package. Okay, so let me pause for a while. Is that clear, class? Is that clear? So do you now know how to install a package? If you recall, the code is install.packages, right? Okay, feedback please, class. Clear so far yung pag-install ng packages at saka yung pag-require? Okay. All right. Okay, thank you, class. This is a small class, kaya makikita ko kung sino hindi nagpa-participate. So I hope everybody participates. Okay, so let's go back. Let me just uninstall this. Detach ko na lang. Hindi ko naman gagamitin. Okay, so if it's like this, okay, let's go back to the help function. Diba ito? Yung as.date, may X ka. This is the object. And then here you have the format. So you have to identify the format. So ano yung mga format na yan? So if you take a look at the formats, pwedeng ito, year, month, day, and then that's by using slash, dash. Ito naman yung slash. Okay. So for this one, we have to change this. Dapat i-define natin D10 as that date since it's month, day, and then year. And we have to define yung format nito. The format is, since naka-slash siya, no? So dapat quotes din dito, and then percentage, and then this is the month, and then slash, kasi naka-slash yung ano, no? And then percentage D for the day, and then slash percentage. Okay, take a look at this. No? Ano yung mga options yan? Yan, pwedeng ganito eh, no? Okay, or pwedeng ganito, no? The Y here, the capital Y here means four numbers yung year. Kasi minsan, di ba, pwedeng gagawin lang tong 23 for 2023. So dalawang digits lang yon, so dapat magiging small y. But since we're looking at the complete year, so dapat capital Y yan. Alright? So let's run this. Okay, then now it's a date function and tama yung ano, 2023, May 16. So tama. Tama siya. Or if the date was given this way, pag naka-minus yung date, then you will have to arrange this na dapat minus siya. Okay, so let's run this again. Tama siya, no? Okay, once again, I'll pause class and entertain some questions if there are any. Otherwise, kindly chat please if it's clear or no questions so far. Okay, thank you, Kuji. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you so much, class, for your participation. Okay, so just one last example. You can take a look at several examples here. Okay. So, dito, no? So this is, okay, ito ang binigay yung number, no? Yung number ng dates. So this is the number of days since 1900, January 1. Bakit? Because in R, date 0 is 1900 o 101. Okay, tingnan natin to ha. Control C. I'll copy this. Control V. Control C. Control V. Okay. So as that date, I'll put 0. So what's date 0? What's date 0? If we run this, okay, yun nga siya, no? So 1900, 01, 01. In fact, that's the default. Let me delete this. Sorry. Okay, as that date 0, ano ba yan? Okay. So, ganyan, hindi pa pwede, no? Kasi we have to supply the origin. Origin is 1900, 0101. That means yun ang parang ground zero ng mga dates. Anyway, I'll leave you to explore some of these other things. But let me just get this as an example to what we were discussing a while ago here. Okay, tingnan natin to ha. Control C. And let me copy this. Very helpful yung help function in R. Okay, so here we have 227, February 27, 1992. Mukhang na doble yung February 27. Gawin na natin itong February 26, 27, 28, February 1. Okay, so ito, we're creating this object called dates. If I click this, okay, so nag-generate siya, no? Itong object na dates. And we can find that here in our environment. So si dates, no? So it's a character variable. Dates, concatenate yung mga characters na to. Okay, and then, copy natin ito. So what does this function do? Ask that date, and then kukunin yung dates, and then here it defines, kasi yung dates natin, month, day, year. So month, day, year. Small y lang kasi two numbers lang to ng year. Okay, so if we run this, dapat ginawa pa natin. Hindi tayo nag-create ng object. We should have created an object here. Okay, let's do that. I'll call it A8. Okay. All right. So what happened here, class? Nag-create tayo ng object na A8. It consists of, kunin mo natin yung class ni A8. So si A8, character lang yan, no? Right? So dito, let's make it A9. As that date, yun yung object na dates, and then in-specify ko kung ano format niya. Kasi mga given na dates is month slash day slash year. Small y lang kasi two numbers lang yung binigay dito. If I choose big Y, so what will happen here? And then let's take the class of A9. Okay, nag-create tayong object na A9. Convert natin yung to date, yung object na dates. And then ang format kasi ng dates is month, day, and then year. Kaya nga ito, month slash D slash Y. So dapat pareho dito yan. Dapat, kung slash siya dito, dapat slash yung format natin. So let's run this. Alright, so date siya. No? And then let me print A9. So, okay, tinan nyo, class. Ano nangyari dito? Ba't ganito yung reflect nyo na ano? Pero date siya. Anything wrong here? Plus, ano kaya ang ano dito? Ba't 0092? Nakalagay, Kuji, what were you saying? Kuji?
Sir, dun po sa argument ng as date po, parang kasi po yung format na specify nyo is month, date, year po. So
Yeah.
parang nalito po ata siya. I
Ah,
think.
saan? Dito?
Yes, sir.
Tingnan natin ano bang object ang binigay niya? Ito, di ba? Take a look at your year.
Yes,
Ano
sir.
yung
Dapat
format
po
ng year? Dalawang ano lang, di ba? Dalawang digits, no? So, ang binigay natin sa code natin dito, capital Y, which will give you ang ibibigay sa'yo dito yung 4 digits, no? Ang binigay lang sa atin, two digits lang ng year. Yung dates natin is just, ito lang, no? 2/26/92. Buti sana kung 1992 to, no? Okay, so how do we correct this? Dapat hindi capital Y. So this should be only small y. Kasi 2 digits lang binigay. If you run this, like A9, nakalimutan ko ito, A9. Alright, tingnan nyo. Tama na. Kanina ito, 0092. Capital Y sinunod natin. But it should be small y kasi yung year na binigay is just 2 digits. Okay, ito lang yung binigay yun, 2/26/92. Okay, so kung dalawa lang yung digits ng year, then dapat small y yung gagawin natin. Okay, so any questions about that, class? Okay, clear so far? Okay, thank you, Alicia. How about the others? Okay. All right. Sige. So I hope the others are following along. Okay, so let's go now to the next part of our lesson, which is okay, meron pa tayo dito mga functions ng class. We have learned this. High level na classification ng object, and then may type of siya, which is a lower level of classification. And then mode, names, length. There are others here that we're going to have examples of in a moment. Okay, so the next lesson that we're going to tackle is data structures. So what are data structures and what are examples of them? So ito yung mga examples ng data structures: vectors, lists, matrices, arrays, factors, data frames. We can add here, pwede natin i-add dito time series, and then line panel data. That will suffice for us. Okay, so these are the types of data structures. Let's take a look at the most simple one, which is the vector. Okay, by definition, ang sabi sa atin, ang vector daw is a basic data structure. And it is atomic. Ano ibig sabihin ng atomic? It contains only one data type. So it can be all numeric, all character, all logical, etc. So let's first create vectors. Control Alt I. Okay, so mag-create ako ng vector. Let me now start with B. B1 Alt minus, and then I'm concatenating here C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nariyan, 1 to 8. All right. Here you have, we're creating an object called B1. Okay. Ipasok natin ito sa parenthesis para i-print na. And then let's run na rin yung class B1 together with type of B1 and then length B1. Okay, there you go. All right, so let's first print this object B1, which consists of 1 to 8. Okay, and then pakunin natin yung class type of at saka length. Let me run this. Okay, so we now have this. Okay, what type of data structure is this? So this is a vector. Bakit siya vector? Kasi pare-parehong laman yan. We can create a vector of integers. So lahat yun, integer ang laman lahat. Or we can create a vector of characters. So lahat yun may mga quotes. Or a vector of logical values, etc. So we can create different types of vectors. But what's important is that vectors are what? They are objects that contain either one or several elements that are of the same type. Okay, so kung may combination na 1, 2, 3, 4, tapos true, false, false, true, tapos meron pang character, that's no longer a vector. Rather, that's called a list. Kasi yung list, it can take on several data types. It can take on combined yung numeric at saka character. Pwede class pag list. So for now, let's just limit ourselves to vectors. No? And ang new sa atin dito, numeric niyan, ang class na numeric, pero type of niya, double. Okay, sabi ko nga sa taas kanina, ang type niya is a lower level classification. So ano ibig sabihin ng double? Double simply means that yung sa memory ng object na yan, kunyari, ng number na yan, since it may or may not take on decimal places, okay, then R gives it a bigger memory space or memory size. Kaya tinatawag siyang double. Okay, so ang double dito has something to do with the size, the bytes that's given by by R dun sa object na yun. Okay, ang length niya, kung ilan siya, 8. Diba? Alright, if I copy this, oops. Okay, let me copy this, Control C. Then maybe just put it below, Control V. So here I'm now going to create a new object, B2. And let's put here L. Kahit hanggang 3 lang. Hanggang 4. Okay. So B2 now, let's get the class of B2, and B2. Yeah, let's run this. So we know that this should be alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ang class niya integer, type of integer. So pag integer, pareho lang yung class at saka type. Sa numeric lang siya nagbabago. Sa numeric, yung class, yung broader classification, numeric siya. And then going down to the type of more specific classification, and sa numeric ang class niya type of. Kapag integer, pareho yung class at saka yung type of. Kapag character din, pareho lang yung class at saka type of. Ang nagbabago lang talaga sa numeric. Sa numeric, ang class niya, numeric, ang type of niya, double. Okay, clear so far, class? Paki-chat na please kung clear so far. Okay. May iba hindi pa nag-feedback. Okay, let's wait for a few more seconds for your classmates. Okay. Okay, let's proceed. So let me expand this a bit. What would be the difference? Control C, I'll copy this below, Control V, and I'm going to remove this. B3 na lang. Okay. Anong difference nito, class, yung B3 kaysa sa B1? Sige nga, please. Class? Okay. Wala pang answer, class?
I'm sorry, what's the question po?
Anong difference ng B3 at saka ng B1? Kasi ito 1 to 8 eh. Itong B1, by the way, what does C mean?
Concatenate po.
Concatenate, yes, or combine. No? Kinombine natin yung 1, 2, 3 hanggang 8. Ito naman, dinefine natin 1 to 8, which is just the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pero in terms of its class and type of. Ano yung difference ng B1 at saka B3 class?
Sir, sa B3 po, integer po siya.
Okay, yung sa B3, yung 1 to 8, that will be considered as an integer. So if you want to generate an integer, 1 to 10 integer, you don't have to write 1L, 2L hanggang 3L. Pwede nang ito, yung 1 to 8 na to. So this is considered as an integer. In fact, when we run this, we run, alright, di ba? Integer siya. No? Even if I write here, paano pag kinoncatenate natin, just like the other one? Concatenate, no? 1 to 8. Will it still be an integer? Class? Class, ano answer? Okay. So pareho lang din, ano, kahit na i-concatenate natin. Alright, so just be sure to understand the nuances of yung C at saka C na ini-specify natin yung content at saka yung may gagamit ng yung from 1 up to 8. Alright, so let's take a look at other ways to generate numeric vectors. We can make use of the sequence function. So ano na ba tayo? Anong object mo? So a B3, okay, let's create an object called B4. Parenthesis B4. Alt minus. Okay. Hold the line class. Hindi lang. Okay. So we can make use of another function to generate a vector of numbers. And that function is called SEQ. SEQ. Okay, now I'm creating an object B4. And tanggalin ko na muna to para hindi nakakalito. B4. And then I'm going to use the function sequence. Okay, so sequence usually identify the from, and then identify the to, and then identify, you can use this by is equal to. Okay, from, to, equal, and by, but that's one way. So let's start with, let's say, 1, from 1, and then mag-create siya ng sequence up to 20. Okay, and by increments of, let's say, gawin natin 3.75. So what does this mean? R will generate numbers from 1 up to 20, incrementing by 3.75. So let's print this. And of course, if I take class B4, I know that that will be numeric. No? That's from 1 up to 20 by 3.75. Okay, if we run this, okay, bakit? May ano ba ako? Meron para ako rin sa isa. May rin pa ba ako na? Okay, so let me run it again. There. Okay, what happened here, class? Nag-generate siya ng numbers from 1 up to 20, incrementing by 3.75. So magsa-start siya ng 1, tapos magdadagdag ng 3.75 until it reaches a number equal to 20 or a number less than 20. Hindi na siya pa pwedeng maging more than 20 kasi hanggang 20 lang, di ba? If I add 3.75 here, this will become 23 already. So maglalampas na siya ng 20. Okay, so this is, of course, this is numeric. No? And this is how we generate a sequence of numbers. Now, there's another way also. Suppose gusto mo yung eksaktong kasama yung last number. Let's create this object B5. Okay. From is equal to 1, 2 is equal to 20. But this time, what we're going to do is we identify ilang numbers ang gusto natin. Length that out is equal to. So we call it length that out. Ilang numbers yung gusto natin ma-generate. Okay, so if I want 8 numbers, let's get the class of B5. So if I run this, so what do you have? Nag-sequence din siya, no? From 1, this time up to 20, exacto. No? And yung length that out, ilan yung numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eksaktong 8. Eksaktong 8. Okay? So here, the objective was to increase by 3.75 until it reaches 20 or before. Ito naman yung length that out. Kailangan 8 numbers. Tapos dapat lahat sila from 1 talaga, from 1 up to 20. Okay, clear class yung difference itong sequence na function na to. Okay, I'll give you a few seconds to copy. Okay, clear so far, class? Again, appreciate your yes, if we're clear so far. Okay, thank you. All right. Now, in my other class a while ago, C1. Okay, sige, tingnan natin yung question ni Fuji. Is this okay? So, is this syntax okay? So sequence 120 by 3.75. Okay, so take a look at what Fuji is asking. So yung sequence class, pwede namang tanggalin yan from. Okay, I only wrote it because you were using it. I was guessing that you were using this for the first time. Okay, you'll generate the same answer. I copy this, Control C, Control V. And then if I remove the from and the to, this is understood by default to be from 2 by 3.75. Pwede siya. You'll get the same answer for a sequence from 1 to 20 by 3.75. I didn't put from a chop. You'll get the same answer. Okay. Diba parehong-pareho. Okay, thank you, Kuji. Thank you for that question. Okay, any other question, class? Any other questions? Okay, so let's generate random numbers. Control Alt I. Okay, let's learn another function. In R, if you're encountering a new function, you can easily go here to the console and type. So here, R norm, no, yung function natin. It's called R norm. And what does this do? Okay, tanggalin ko muna to. Okay, R norm, what does this do? So to get help about this, question mark and then R norm, control enter, it will lead us to this one. Okay. So this is all about the normal distribution from the stats package. Now we don't need to install stats package because it's already preloaded. Naka-preload na siya, no? So if we check packages, and then hanapin natin yung stats dito, just stats type here, stats. Stats, okay. Looks like in my case, do you find stats in your package? Sa akin kasi wala eh. And yet this will work, no? Kindly chat please, do you find stats in your package? Yes, and then naka-check, no? Alicia, ba't kaya naka-check siya? What's the implication if it's already checked?
Naka-install na po.
Naka-install and hindi lang naka-install, ano pa? Kasi pwede siyang hindi naka-check pero installed yun. Naka-install
It's
and,
working po.
sorry?
It's working po.
It's working or na-load na siya. Okay? Di ba kanina I showed you, pag clinic ko yung isang package sa packages window, ano yung code na lumalabas sa console? Library and then that package, di ba? So pag naka-check na yung package yan, ibig sabihin naka-library na yan. Ibig sabihin ready for use na yan. You don't have to type library and then stats package. Okay? So yun ang ibig sabihin nun, no? Okay, so what does the R norm give us? Let's get it from help. So si R norm, this has something to do with normal distribution. Okay, so dito may apat na functions tayo, D norm, P norm, Q norm, and R norm. What we're going to use here is R norm. Sabi sa R norm, D norm is for density, P norm is for yung probabilities, yung distribution function, and then quantile function, and then ito, random generation for the normal distribution. Okay. Now, for our norm, yung function niya, take a look at this. N, which means kung ilang observations ang kailangan natin, and then mean is equal to 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1. And this class, yung naka-red na to, default yan. What do we mean by default? Kahit na hindi natin isulat yan, yung mean is equal to 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1, automatically, yung pa rin ang random number generator na gagawin ng R, na yung mean is equal to 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1. Okay, so let's try to do this. Okay, so dito, all right. So I'm going to create an object. Let's call it B6. B6 na ba to? B6. Alt minus. And then we're going to use R norm. R norm. All right. That's 100 muna. And I can write mean is equal to 0 and SD is equal to 1. Or I can just ignore this. Mean is equal to 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1 is the default. So even if I don't put this one, okay, it will still compute, generate random numbers. I-print natin to. Okay. Tapos kunin natin yung class ng B6. Tapos isa pa, kunin natin yung head B6. Head B6 and then 10 and then tail B6 and then 10 na lang din and then length and B6. Okay, let's take a look at this. So dito magge-generate tayo ng number, 100 numbers, okay, na randomly generated with, pag kinuha natin yung mean yan, dapat 0 or approximately 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1. Okay, then hinanap natin yung class niya. Yung head class, it will give us the first 10 observations. Yung tail naman, it will give us the last 10 observations. And then length, ilan yung elements ng ano natin, ng object natin at B6. So let's run this. Okay. So here, hello, sorry, mali, no? I place it in parentheses, which means it will print. Print niya lahat ng 100 observations, which I don't want. I don't want it printed. So I'll just remove this. Yung parentheses, di ba? Yun yung nagpapaano sa kanya, nagpa-print. Kasi if I put this in open and close parentheses, then it will print all the elements inside this. So pag dito lang, okay, mag-create siya ng B6, hindi niya ipiprint. Kukumputin niya yung class. It will show yung head, yung first 10 elements, tapos yung 10 elements, and then yung length niya. Okay, so let's run this. All right, so first, numeric siya. Tapos ito yung okay, ilan siya? Okay. So did you get this, class? So do we have the same numbers? Same numbers ba tayo? Chat, yes or no, please. Okay, I expect you to answer what? Dapat no makita ko dito. Okay, no, yes. No siya, class. Bakit? Kasi random numbers to eh. So these are random numbers and R will generate different random numbers for us. However, we can generate the same random numbers by adding a certain function there. Anybody who knows? Yung mga ano dati kay Sir JP? Okay? None? O sige, let's do this. Let's modify this. Check na muna natin, class, kung let's see. Ano yung mean ng B6 at saka standard deviation niya, standard deviation ng B6. Kasi 'di ba itong function na to, ang mean niya should be 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1. Okay, let me just decrease the size. Gawin na natin 5 tsaka 5. So first 5 and last 5. Okay, so here, let's run this. Okay, so una, nag-generate ng B6, no? B6, 1 up to 100, 100 observations. And then, ang mga numbers siya, negative 1.92, 1.28, etc. We will have different numbers kasi random to, no? And then the last 5, ito yung tail, 0.44, negative 0.322 as far as I'm concerned. Sa inyo iba, no? Ang length ng B6 is 100. Okay, and then the mean is 0.09369. So medyo hindi siya medyo hindi siya mukhang 0 kasi in fact round off to the nearest 10th 0.1 siya, no? So medyo malayo siya sa 0. Okay? And then standard deviation niya 1.04, around that. Medyo malapit-lapit, no? Okay, so what we're going to do is I want us to generate isa pa pala, no? Kunin natin yung histogram nito. Hist B6, which is to plot. Pa-plot natin yung B6, tingnan nga natin kung ano. So if I run this, everything here, mag-generate ng dalawa yan. Okay, so this is the histogram. Okay, medyo may pagka hindi naman siya talagang smooth na no? Na normally distributed na na numbers. Okay, and then here, andito yung mga answers kanina, no? All right, and then the mean is 0.0776, and then the standard deviation is 0.956. So medyo hindi siya gaano ka-close kay 1 and 0. Okay, so ang gusto natin, so let's copy this. Control C. I'm going to create now another step. Control V. Let's call this B7. Okay, shortcut. Highlight natin to. Control F. And then B6. Diba? Control, find nyo lang yan. And then I'll replace it by B7. Okay, so yung una, naka-highlight na yung unang B6. Replace. It will go to the next B6. Replace, 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 replace. Okay, no more. Okay, so B7 lahat yan. Now, how do we generate the same random numbers? We use this function set.seed. Okay, the set.seed function allows us to generate the same set of random numbers. We just have to introduce a number here. For example, let's use 999. Okay, so if you type set.seed 999, I type set.seed 999, and everybody who does this will be able to generate the same numbers. Okay, so instead of 100, let's make this 100,000. Mas malaking sample natin. And it will have a bearing on the mean and the standard deviation. So this is based on the central limit theorem, diba? CLT. Okay, so 100,000 mean, gawin natin mean 100, no? 100 and standard deviation, pagwilan natin ng konti. Hindi, sige, sorry. Pareho na lang muna, no? Para may comparison tayo dun sa previous na randomly generated numbers natin. Same head, tail, length. Pinakuha din natin yung mean at saka standard deviation. Okay, so let's run this. Run. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Dito muna tayo. Okay, by the way, kasi ang hahaba ng ano niya, no? Let's generate, baguhin natin to ng konti. Ang gagawin natin, may function na round class. Round. Okay, round. Ano i-round natin tapos ilang decimal places. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, gawin natin, ipasok natin to sa round. So dalawang numbers ipapasok natin dito. Una, ano ipaparound natin? So ang pinaparound natin ito, di ba? This one, itong buong to, and then comma, magkakama tayo. Ilang decimal places? 3 decimal places na lang, and then close. So whatever random number will be generated, yung 1,000 na yan, i-round off yan into 3 decimal places. And then the mean is 0, standard deviation is equal to 1. Alright? So let's run this again. Ulitin ko na lang. Okay. First question. Let's go here. Do we have the same numbers? Negative 0.282, negative 1.313, 0.795, etc. Could you give a feedback, please, if we have the same numbers? Yung first 5 and the last 5. Ito kasing head, kasi ito yung tail. Okay, we should have the same, no? Kasi nag-set that seed tayo. Pag nag-set that seed tayo, then tapos gumamit tayo ng ng generator ng random number, we will have exactly the same. Okay, then let's take a look at the details. Okay, tingnan niyo to class, no? So 100 yung length niya. And then take a look at the mean, negative 0.00207. So this is practically 0. Diba? So mas kaysa kanina yung 100 observations lang, ito mas malapit talaga siya sa 0 because of the central limit theorem. And the standard deviation is 1.002. Okay? And then let's take a look at the plot. Okay, how do you comment about the histogram of B7? Okay, what do you think, class? Does it look like normally distributed numbers, class? As compared to the other one kanina na medyo may pagka, wait, quite close pero not that much. No? Hello, any comment, please? Okay, see? Yeah, thank you, Kim. Yeah, you're correct. So visually, makikita natin na sabi ni Kim, no? B7 is more normally distributed. You're correct. Kasi kanina yung B6, i-plot natin tong control enter, itong B6, tinan nyo. No? Okay. So hindi siya ganun ka ka normally distributed as compared to the other one here. Ito kasi ang observations natin 100,000. Okay, so that has that's a bearing. Okay, questions, class? So far clear tayo? Are we clear so far, class? Okay, good. All right. So, dali ah. Ang next natin is ito alam na natin to, no? Mga vectors lang to. Different types of vectors. For example, ito lang, Control Alt I. If let's generate a I'll call it C1 logical vector. So ano lang siya? Diba C, and then you have true, true, false, true, true, false, false. So this is a vector. Class natin C1, a class C1, and then tingnan na rin natin yung type of. Okay, so here I'm creating an object called C1. It's a vector. It's concatenating true, true, false. True, true din yan, ano? Kahit na hindi siya na-spelled out, di ba? If you recall. So if we print na lang natin, if we print this, get the class and the type of. Okay, so yan, print niya, true, true, false, etc. Then the class is logical and the type of is logical. Okay, so as I was saying a while ago, kapag integer, let's ito na lang, sige, dito. Control Alt I, let's have C2, and then ito, C1L, 2L, 10L, 100L, 35L, etc. No? Okay, so let's have this printed again. Print, and then let's have the class of C2, and then type of C2. Okay, we're just distinguishing between yung class at saka type of kapag if it's integer. If I run this, okay, di ba? 1, 2, 10, 135. So these are integers kasi may L siya. The class of an integer is integer. The type of is still integer. So ang numeric lang naman ang medyo na bago. No? Pag numeric, ang class niya, numeric, tapos pag ang type of niya is double. Same thing for character vectors. Okay, so here, let's create another one. Control Alt I, C3. Okay, let's call it C3, Alt minus, and then C, mga characters. Let's say Ngayon lang, ha? Wait. Let me just check. Kasi yung letters, just to be sure. Control Enter. All right. Built-in constants. Okay, so yung letters na object, okay, either big capital letter, big letters or small letters, month, date, name, pi, these are built-in constants. Ibig sabihin yan, kung titingnan natin, they look like their names, no? Diba? But they can be used to mean something. So gawin natin dito yan. Let's use that here. Okay, so character, I'll just use letters. Okay. Then i-print natin to. Print natin yung object na letters. And then class C3. And then type of C3. Okay. So if I run this, okay, tingnan nyo, no? So letters stand for yung alphabet, A to Z. And then ang class niya, character, and then type of niya, character. So we just proved here that sa ano lang nagbabago yung type of, sa numeric lang. And it's instructive kasi double, ibig sabihin nun, it carries, it's provided with more bytes. No? So, tingnan natin kung big letters to. So, dito kasi usage, yung big letters pareho din. Letters siya, pero capital letters lang siya. Okay? And then month, date, name. Tingnan natin to. Month, date, name. Yan. Month, date, name. These are constants then. So if we run this, control and there. January, February. So characters to, no? And their class is character, and then their type of is character. Okay. All right. So yeah, I think we were able to finish what we wanted to finish. So next meeting on Friday, pupunta na tayo sa lists, no? And then pupunta tayo sa mas importanteng lesson sa atin yung data frames. Okay, and hopefully next meeting matapos natin to so that we can go next week already to our main topic. Okay? So let me stop recording.